Today's show, we have a very special guest. I want you to meet my younger brother, Garrett. He is running his 27th Boston Marathon. And what makes the last few marathons very special here in Boston, he's running on behalf of the Heather Abbott Foundation. Hey, everybody, this is Jimmy. Welcome back to another episode of our show. Today's show, we have a very special guest. We are very close, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to meet my younger brother, Garrett. He is running his 27th Boston Marathon on April 17th, next Monday. It'll also be his 40th marathon in total. He started running in 1986, and what makes the last few marathons very special here in Boston, he's running on behalf of the Heather Abbott Foundation. And Gary, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking time off from your busy training schedule to sit down for a few minutes and talk to us.
You look fantastic.
This is the new Jim.
Working out.
So do you.
All right.
So, Gary, tell us first of all, what is the Heather Abbott Foundation?
Oh, good question. So Heather Abbott is a woman who was a victim at the marathon bombing. And she tragically lost her leg at the bombing. And she was a mess, like everybody was a mess after that. But she really resigned herself to wanting to do something and to help other people who have gone through traumatic limb loss. So she started a foundation called Heather Abbott Foundation.org. And since then, they've raised collectively millions of dollars to help provide prosthesis for victims of tragic limb loss. So that could be kids, that can be anybody, anybody who's lost a limb. That's who Heather is. She's an amazing woman. She's a very, very generous woman and very dedicated to the cause and really to helping people out. And I think it's helped her. I know it's helped her as well.
Right.
Certainly it's helped me to just be a part of it.
Right. Have you met her in person, Gary?
Yeah, she's a wonderful woman. And, the whole network is great. Kevin Horst is another fellow that runs the whole program, and he's been fantastic. And, there's this rippling effect all around there of people that are a part of it, who were a part of it, continue to be a part of it. From all over the country, people have contributed and been a part of the Heather Abbott Foundation.org.
Right. So I imagine it must give you, it's an added benefit. If running a marathon's hard enough in terms of the practice, the training and the commitment that it takes. But when you're doing it for something like that, does that help motivate you?
So let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
For years, I've been running, okay, with the only purposes for my own benefit, for my own competitive base. So I run for myself, I run for time. I run to do as well as I can do, possibly qualify, things like that. And I never thought about running for charity. People used to say to me, well, what charity are you running for? I'm not running for charity. I'm running because I have a number and I want to do better. I've been training. And one year, about 4 years ago, I ran a marathon and I had to drop out because I was injured. And I was really, really bummed out because I'm like, now I can't run Boston. And for 27 years, I've been running Boston. So it was like, oh, woe was me, but what's the big deal? So I met, just coincidentally, on the way to the Patriots game that morning, after the marathon that I dropped out of, I was in a car with a woman she said, well, why don't you run for my friend's fundraiser? And I was like, I never thought of that. I never thought about running for someone else. I said, sure, I'll run that. So that's how we made this connection. It was very serendipitous and it became very meaningful, and it still is meaningful. And I just love being a part of the group now. You meet people from all over the country. And there's a little bit more of a sense of purpose because what you're doing is going to help someone else. And that's the name of the game.
Excellent. So you've been running it for the last 4 or 5 years on behalf of the Heather Abbott Foundation. Any idea how much you personally have helped raise for the foundation?
I think we're up in close to $40,000, a little under 40,000.
Excellent.
That's a source of pride. I ran last year with my son Garrett, So collectively, we raised close to 20,000, and this year the fundraising has been going pretty well too. In the previous 2 years, so I think if we put it all together, we're into 40,000, maybe 40,000 plus.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So, Gary, in the show notes, there's going to be a link if people want to contribute to the Heather Abbott Foundation. And what's the name of that link, Gary?
Okay, so you're going to see it's heatherabbottfoundation.org is the link for Heather Abbott's website. In the link, what I'm going to put in there is it's going to say Garrett Tingle's Boston Marathon link. And if you click on that, you can read our little narrative, my little narrative. And if you'd like to contribute, you're more than welcome to. And we would really appreciate that.
So if they want to contribute to the Heather Abbott Foundation, they can go through the link that says Garrett Tingle's Boston Marathon. And that way you'll at least get credit for it, and they can read up a little bit about her there. And there'll be a snippet there from her interview with Channel 7. And if people want to watch the marathon, there's a restaurant an eighth of a mile from the finish line that offers the second story room, and they have a buffet. And there's a cover charge to get in. But if you attend that, you can watch the finish from like noon until 5 o'clock, the day of the marathon. There's it's a bar, there's beverages, there's food. It's kind of a party atmosphere. It's a watch party. And Gary, we'll put that link in the show notes as well, right?
Sure. It's Rochambeau is the name of the restaurant.
Okay.
And it's 900 Boylston Street. And the watch party is specifically for people in the Heather Abbott Foundation network. So if you made a contribution, or if you just like to buy a ticket and go to it, there's food buffet style there. They'll be serving that all day. And there are beverages at a cash bar as well. And it's a private room. It's pretty cool. And you're going to see people who have been victims of tragic loss of limb, not just from the bombing, but from all over. That's pretty profound when you meet people and how they tell me. One person told me, Garrett, you never know how your life can change in just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
From an accident, your whole world just changed. So these are, athletic people, young people, people of middle age. It's everybody. And, it's the people there that did lose limbs that will be there that lost limbs at Boston as well. So yeah,
great, Gary. I'm gonna be there. I'm trying to. I think my wife Catherine's gonna be there if she can get off work. Seamus, my son, might be there as well, as if he can get out of work. Don't tell anybody they're getting out of work to do this. But if they can, they will be there. Well, it's a holiday too, so it's Monday the 17th. So there's I think there's a good chance we'll be there. I know I'll be there. My sister Ruthie will be there. We always tried to get down to the finish line when Gary was running for the last 27 years. Sometimes with better luck than other times, because it's not always easy getting down to the finish line. But I got some great pictures. You'll see one today on the website when we post this podcast. So Gary, when you first started running for the marathons, that was 1986.
Yeah.
Did you have this apprehension about doing it? Was there a doubt that, geez, I don't know if I can actually do a whole marathon? What was that process like of training for the very first one? Because I went out for a run today, and I haven't run in a while, and it's not a marathon, but it was just, for I don't know, 45 minutes or something. Yeah. I felt tremendous after it. And I haven't run in 3 or 4 weeks. And I said, well, I'm doing the interview on the marathon. I got to at least get out there and get a taste of what it's like. But the feeling you get when you finish a run is pretty amazing. So what was your experience? What was your process when that very first one?
Well, first thing I would say is whatever form of exercise feeds a person, when I mean feed, it feeds you spiritually, emotionally, and physically. That's beautiful. And for some people, that's running. Doesn't just have to be running. That can be a piece of what you want to do: running, cycling, anything, walking, whatever intrinsically makes you feel good. And you get that kick. Your body is telling you, your brain is telling you you're doing something good for me. I always say my drug of choice is running, and it really has been. And it just makes me feel really good to know that every day or 5 to 7 days a week. I'm out there and really just putting one foot in front of the other. And that's all it is. And you can vary your paces and vary your efforts. But no matter if you run a quarter mile or 26.2 or 50K or whatever, it's a level of accomplishment for that day. That's what I feel like. Today, I did something good for myself. The rest of the day, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to be all right. But to answer your question, yeah, I didn't know anything about running, anything at all. The reason I started running, it was really, I wasn't totally happy with my body composition. And because I was athletic all my life, and all of a sudden I had to slow down, and I didn't know. It's just people would say, "Hey, you look different, Garrett." And I was like, "Wow." So anyway, I just literally put on a pair of Chuck Taylors and went out and started running. And I was running, a couple of days a week, and that's all I was doing. Maybe 15 miles a week. And then I said, hey, I used to like watching the Boston Marathon because it was our day. The Boston Marathon is our day. We're the only state that celebrates Patriots Day, and it's a holiday just for us. So, and it was always the marathon was on that day, and I used to always get amped up watching these guys, the great Billy Rogers and others, and, John Benoit Samuelson, and the list goes on, Alberto Salazar. And so I used to just get amped up watching them. I said, I want to run more. So I'd just go out and run a little bit more that day, maybe like just Marathon Monday, got me going. And I said, next year I'm going to do it. But I literally tell you, I only was running probably 20 miles a week, which is not a lot if you're training for a marathon. So the first idea was just to finish. And yes, I was very scared about finishing. I didn't think I could. And I talked to a good friend of mine, and you know him too, Peter Payak, who was a lifelong marathoner. He has suffered from MS, still is out moving every single day. He was a Cambridge Poet Laureate for several years. And he's just a great, great person, and with a lot of intrinsic beauty. And I love the guy, and he's helped me forever. But he got me through that first marathon. He said, Garrett, nobody finishes the marathon feeling good. Nobody. So you're not going to feel good, but you're going to get through it. You can get through it. And it was the night before. And it was just that little vote of confidence. I said, I can get through it. And I did. I got through it. And it was great. And it was a lot of fun. And then you get the bug. Well, if I just ran this time. Now, if I really practice, could I run better? And then it just keeps going. What do they say? That success is when opportunity and preparation meet. The better you train, the better you run. But it doesn't have to be about running for time. It's just running for enjoyment and for your fitness, your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical health. And if that works for you, that's great. And if it doesn't, try something else.
And I suppose when you take time off from it, do you feel kind of a little bit off your game? If you go like a couple of weeks without running, do you feel like groggy or cranky or anything?
You have to be smart. If you don't take your rest, the body will rest you. It'll give you an injury. You're going to have a stress fracture or something like that. Or, you're going to you feel some ailments. So I've been fortunate where I can slow down for a week. I'll take a week off, but I don't like to take a lot of time off. But that's just me. It doesn't matter. You be you. Do what feeds you.
Right. And Gary, how old are you now?
66.
66, and you're running your 40th marathon.
But my father and your father used to say, Gary, you're only young once, but you could be immature forever. And I work with kids. So I say the reason I get along with you is because neither one of us have a full frontal lobe developed. So, we have a lot of fun with that.
But it'll be your 27th Boston and your 40th, and you're 66 years old. So it's very inspirational. And not only you're running for yourself and your own personal health and equilibrium, but the Heather Abbott Foundation and actually doing good works by doing something that you love to do. So it sounds like it's the perfect fit.
It's running with a purpose, It's running with a purpose beyond my own selfish interest, right? Yeah. I know it's kind of cool running for a charity. You meet people and you're helping to do something. Because honestly, in my life, I never really did a lot of good things. This is a good thing. Somehow it got put in my way and I like it. I like being a part of it. So,
Well, I
yeah.
object to the fact that you never did a lot of good things. You've been a teacher for many, many years, and you've helped a ton of kids. And, Gary's very modest, but one of his projects was to bring kids to New Orleans and build houses after Hurricane Katrina.
Mhm.
And they called it the Mass 9 for the 9. And they would bring his whole class down to New Orleans, and they would be there for a week in April. And he started doing this after the Hurricane Katrina, and he did it many years following that hurricane. I don't know. Are you still doing that, Gary?
Well, we also went to Puerto Rico after Maria,
Right.
and that was because we did 13 years in New Orleans, and then we kind of saturated the market there. There's still a lot of work that need to be done there, but we figured let's try, because Maria happened. So we went to Puerto Rico 3 years ago and did this basically the same thing. Worked with the same organization. The St. Bernard Project.org is another great organization. They do disaster relief. Mm-hmm. And they hooked us up in Puerto Rico. And we worked there for a week. We had a wonderful time. And the learning is incredible, what the kids experience, what they go through, and how they grow from that.
Yeah,
is great. And then COVID happened, and we haven't been back since COVID. We're going to try to get back next year and do some service work somewhere. The whole idea behind it was we want to use our carpentry skills to help return a family to their home.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. And it was great. It was fun, and we loved it.
So you are doing great work, and you have been for a long time. And this Monday, folks, if you want to watch the marathon in person, there'll be a link in the show notes to the restaurant at 900 Boylston Street. It's an eighth of a mile from the finish line. Starts at noon. There'll be complimentary food. There's a cash bar, and you can watch the race both from inside and outside on the street. And there'll be the whole Heather Abbott Foundation community will be there supporting that cause. And if you would like to contribute with cash or online, you can do that. And the link, Gary, to your particular website is what now in the show notes?
It's going to say on the link, it's going to say Garrett Tingle's Boston Marathon. It'll be in your show notes.
Garrett Tingle's Boston Marathon in the show notes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Gary, great to see you. I'll see you Monday. And thanks for the nice party we had last night. We had a little birthday party.
How old are you, Jimmy?
I can't believe it. I'm 68. And now Gary's got me thinking about doing a marathon. I said, I don't know, Gary. I did 4 today. This time next year, I might be ready.
Right. Thanks so much, Jimmy. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening and helping out.
Thanks, Gary. Love you. Keep up the great work. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for another show today. This is the Jimmy Tingle Show, and what we're trying to do is raise spirits, funds, and awareness for people and nonprofits and charities that are doing good work in this world, and we just thank you so much for being part of our community. This is how we're trying to use our skills, as my skills as an entertainer and as a humorist, to elevate people and organizations that are doing good things right here in Massachusetts and around the world, and there's a zillion of them. So it's great to be connected to my brother Gary, his marathon efforts, and the Heather Abbott Foundation. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.